In this episode of Driven by Power, we delve into the captivating world of notorious drug kingpins and their extravagant car collection. Join us as we explore the luxurious vehicles that have symbolized the opulence and influence of these criminal masterminds. From sleek sports cars to armored vehicles, each automobile reflects the power and immeasurable wealth that these individuals have garnered through their illicit activities. Discover the stories behind these awe-inspiring car collections, revealing the audacious tastes and bold statements made by these underworld figures. Alvaro Lopez. For years, Alvaro Lopez Tardón was living the high life in Miami in seaside condos with designer jewelry and expensive leather goods. But it all came crashing down in the summer of 2011 when he was named in a U.S. federal money laundering indictment as the head of an international narcotics trafficking enterprise. His assets, which include luxurious high-powered sports cars, are in the process of being forfeited. Some of his vehicles include an Enzo Ferrari, Rolls-Royce Ghost, Ferrari F430, Maybach 57S, and 4 luxury SUVs including 2 Mercedes and 2 Range Rovers. He also owns the millions of dollars Bugatti Veyron 16.4 that can move more than 250 miles per hour. All these cars were placed on auction. Next is Dion Charo. Dion was a rising drug lord who was quickly tracked down by the police. Of course, he is pretty low on the scale of other drug lords on this list. He managed to kill several dozen people. He was arrested at his apartment in a luxury high-rise on 51st Avenue in Long Island City. Among the property seized was a loaded firearm, approximately $500,000 in cash, and a red Lamborghini Aventador parked in the building's garage. Up next is Kong Meng Vong. Kong was famous for his drug dealings until he was busted with marijuana worth $5 million. King also owned several high-end cars in his garage. They remained concealed until he was arrested by the police and his garage was seized. Some of the cars there included a 1994 Toyota Supra, a 1999 Nissan Skyline which won't be eligible for import into the USA until 2027, a 1991 Acura NSX, a 2009 Nissan GYR, and a 2007 Maserati Quattroporte. There are other cars like the 2000 Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 6 Tommy Makinen GSR, another Mitsubishi, a Galant VR4, and a 1997 Toyota Soarer GTT. All of these cars were confiscated by the authorities and were auctioned. Next we have Nicky Barnes. Barnes was famous half a century ago and even graced the cover of the New York Times Magazine. He posed for the page wearing dark glasses next to the headline Mr. Untouchable, followed by a mocking question. Police say he is possibly Harlem's biggest drug dealer, but can they prove it? The article marked the beginning of the end for Nicky. It was a slap in the face not only to American justice, but also to then-President Jimmy Carter. Nicky owned a drug-dealing syndicate where he made loads of money, flooding the neighborhood with heroin and investing the profits in other sectors, which include spending on expensive wear and cars. His fleet included a Bentley, Citroen SM, several Ford Thunderbirds, and Maserati. Next is Frank Lucas. Frank Lucas had a unique business model for the supply of drugs to the United States. To begin with, he contrived to establish a connection with the opium king of the Golden Triangle, Kun Sa, having received the opportunity to import the purest heroin into the States. Together with his accomplice Atkinson, Lucas bought a kilogram of drugs for $4,000, and in the States the price rose to $100,000. He also developed a scheme according to which drugs were smuggled into the coffins of American soldiers killed during the Vietnam War. Frank is believed to have made $100,000 a day at the height of his business and was estimated to have $52 million in accounts in the Cayman Islands. Of course, with such earnings, he did not deny himself luxury cars. He had a Rolls-Royce, Mercedes-Benz, Corvette Stingray, and Chevrolet muscle car, one of which he accelerated so badly that it almost cost him his life, which made him give it to his brother's wife. Next, we have Alexander Surin. Due to his love for collecting incredibly luxurious cars, he was dubbed Don Corleone. Surin owned several high-end cars. The London crime and drug lord's cars were auctioned off. He was said to own 2 Enzo Ferraris, with each of them costing $613,000. He owned a Rolls-Royce Phantom Drophead Coupe, which cost $491,000, and the Rolls-Royce Phantom, which cost $421,000. His Ferrari 599 GTB cost $318,000, while his Ferrari California is worth $220,000. His least expensive vehicle was the Porsche 911 GT3, which cost $125,000. His most expensive car was the Bugatti Veyron, which cost $1.68 million. Surin was detained in London on suspicions of drug trafficking. A total of 4 of his cars were auctioned off, and including the Rolls-Royce Phantom and the 3 Ferraris, Enzo, California, and a 599 GTB. Next is Jose Figueroa Agosto. Jose Figueroa Agosto, also known as the Pablo Escobar of the Caribbean, was a Puerto Rican drug trafficker until he was arrested and sentenced to 30 years imprisonment. Among his properties confiscated, a special edition Camaro with an engine that runs on jet fuel was among them. The car is valued at more than $75,000. Next is Luis Hernando Bustamante. Luis started from working in a gas station to rising to a level where, when he was arrested, he had $100 million in assets. This included 24 offices, 68 farms, and around 20 parking lots. As a trafficker for the Colombian Norte del Valle cartel, Bustamante amassed a crazy amount of wealth right up until the point it was taken away. Among his cars seized was a Ferrari 348 TS but instead of auctioning it, the Colombia's National Drug Office handed the Ferrari over to law enforcement to be used as a police car. It isn't used to chase criminals, but it is put on display in a museum. Next is El Chapo Joaquin Guzman. Popularly known as El Chapo, Joaquin Guzman gained notoriety from being the boss of the Sinaloa drug cartel, which was one of Mexico's most prominent criminal organizations in the late 20th century. In 2009, Forbes magazine ranked him as one of the richest and most influential people on earth due to the dramatic ways he escaped prisons, which gained international popularity. This also meant El Chapo owned several collections of cars, which undoubtedly helped him in smuggling. One of them is a Dodge Charger that's a replica of a police car. He also owns a Mercedes AMF G63. El Chapo also owns a Chevrolet Corvette. His Corvette has 638 horsepower with a 6.2-liter V8 engine. It also reaches 192 miles per hour. This car cost over $130,000 when he got it, but that must have seemed like small change to the Kingpin. Although El Chapo owns these interesting cars, none of them can be compared to his Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren. This car is a sport ride that speaks for itself. It's equipped with a 5.0-liter V8 under its long, low hood, cranking out 557 horsepower. Guzman bought himself one of these cars, and he massively modded it with a Florida-based Benz tuner, Rentec. The car was upgraded to 722 horsepower to go along with a more aggressive aero package on the exterior. Up next is Pablo Escobar. The world's largest drug dealer met a spectacular, bullet-riddled demise over 30 years ago. As you'd expect of a murderous cocaine lord, Pablo Escobar lived a fast life. The 1974 Porsche 911 might be the finest car owned by Escobar because it came with pedigree papers and was one of only 15 cars manufactured. Pablo also owned a 1972 Mercedes S600 Pullman. Back in the day, this 6.3-liter V8-powered limo was the preferred means of transport for innumerable heads of state. Since Escobar fancied himself the unofficial president of Colombia, it's no surprise he acquired one of these. The car was, however, destroyed by the rival Cali cartel during a bombing of his Medellin home in 1988. He reportedly owned a 1964 Porsche 356. This coveted German speedster is said to be his favorite car. Escobar reportedly upgraded the car when there was a complaint about an insufficient engine. The car also went with the Cali Tussle. Escobar owned other cars like the Toyota Land Cruiser and the Mercedes 190 SL Roadster, but none of them can be more precious to him than the 1946 DeSoto. This American marquee was brought to market as a subdivision of Chrysler, and it has two variants, the entry-level deluxe and the more lavish custom, though both used an L-head 236.7 V6 power plant that generated 109 horsepower. Safe to assume Escobar opted for the upscale custom. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the magnificent car collections of notorious drug kingpins. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more intriguing content.